Mwahaha! Ozzymitsu here, and I will suck your blood, your blood, your blood! Mwahaha! Ozzy! Halloween's over! There's no need to do that anymore! Just get on with the video as normal! Stop acting like an idiot!
Okay, jeez. Hello everyone, I hope you guys had an enjoyable and safe Halloween a few days ago. What a better way to reflect and look back at this scary festivity by discussing the defensive ghosts, Dusclops and Dusknoir, as part of my Evolution Solution series. I mean, there's nothing scarier than facing Dusclops, and you're not running taunt.
Don't you dare touch me! Stand back! No!
This series usually involves me discussing a Pokemon with Eviolite with its evolutionary counterpart. I have however done a few spin-off episodes, for example when I compared Lightball Pikachu with Raichu and Shaymin with Shaymin Sky. But today we're going to be staying true to the actual series by discussing a Pokemon that actually fits the bill. Anyway, as always, if you wanted to familiarise yourself with the series in its entirety, there's a handy little iCard that will appear on the top right hand corner right now, which will link you to the first ever episode of the series. This also works on mobile devices, provided you're watching from the official YouTube application and not the web browser. Going back to the video anyway, as the title suggests, today I'm going to be discussing Eviolite Dusclops with Dusknoir. Let us begin with Dusclops. It evolves from Duskull starting at level 37. It's a pure ghost type, meaning it's weak to ghost and dark. It resists poison and bug, whilst having immunities to both normal and fighting. It's a pretty unique typing in the sense it's weak to its own type, while still being able to hit super effectively to another type, being psychic. Unlike the dragon type that can only get a stab super effective hit to dragon only, which kind of sucks when you think about it. Anyway, Dusclops gets access to two abilities, Pressure and Frisk. Pressure essentially raises your foe's PP usage, which works well if you want to play a stalled Dusclops. Tank those hits until your foe runs out of PP and has to use Struggle, and then it's GG. Alternatively, it gets access to Frisk, which as the name suggests allows a Pokemon with the ability to receive a message informing you of which item your foe is holding. If your foe has no item, no message will populate. It's as simple as that. In doubles however, a Pokemon at random will be selected to be frisked. Ayy. No, not like that, you perverts. All in all, both abilities suit Dusclops because in my opinion they both can be viewed as very defensive abilities. Pressure, as mentioned previously, allows you to raise your foe's PP usage, so you can play the stall game really well, whereas Frisk allows you to anticipate what kind of set your foe has. If you see that they have a life orb, for example, you can make an informed decision, or prediction rather, of what kind of role they're playing and adapt to that playstyle accordingly. Although Eviolite doesn't affect base stats, looking at Dusclops stats, you have some nice bulk. It has a base 130 in both of its defenses, which allows you to play around with its EVs to really maximize the efficiency of its stats. The only thing letting it down is that it has a lack of offensive capability and a lack of speed, but this can easily be fixed with Trick Room and assigning it Nightshade for nice consistent damage. Quickly looking at its move pool, its stats and abilities really complement the defensive role you'd most likely opt for with Dusclops, with it mainly getting setup or status moves like Curse, Confuse Ray, Will-O-Wisp and Disable, whilst getting access to some elemental punching moves. It can also make use of TMs like Trick Room and Calm Mind really well. I was thinking if you want to run an Eviolite Dusclops, you can run the following sets. First of all, go for Will-O-Wisp to half physical attacker's damage as well as nice residual damage. Pain Split, that one's pretty self-explanatory, with Trick Room and Nightshade as I mentioned previously. Opt for the Bold Nature to increase your defense, max the HP with max special defense. The idea here is to provide support in doubles. Trick Room can be used as an extra support tool for your ally, especially if you're running a Pokemon like Mega Mawile or tank Pokemon that can still hit hard like Clefable. Nightshade is in case you get taunted, which does damage equal to your level, so even if you have no investment in your offensive stats, you're still able to inflict some nice consistent damage. Alternatively, you can opt for more of a troll set. What I was thinking is max the HP and the rest in whichever defense you want to do. Go for Infestation to lock your opponent in, Toxic, Protect, and Curse. Of course this set is very susceptible to taunt, but you can really stall out a battle, especially in singles if your opponent doesn't have a check to a tank ghost Pokemon like Dusclops. I also saw it gets access to Grudge and Destiny Bond, and these two moves really intrigue me. I have tried Grudge and it works fairly well. As Dusclops has a lack of recovery moves, if it's about to be knocked out, use Grudge. If it faints as a result, the respective move, and I'm guessing it would be a bothersome move, will lose all its PP, which is pretty handy. No? Overall, Dusclops has some fantastic stats and can work really well in doubles as opposed to singles. However, it being a ghost type, it is completely shut down by dark types, and although it isn't entirely crippled if hit by knockoff or trick, taunt will really hinder its momentum, which is why in my opinion Nightshade is an absolute necessity to check taunt users. Additionally, Dusclops does not get access to many recovery moves, the closest viable one being Pain Split. Although it can use Rest, it has to hold Eviolite, so you cannot give it a Chesto Berry to run an all-important Resto Chesto set, which is why a lot of people would argue Chansey is a better Eviolite user due to getting access to Natural Cure, resting up and simply switching out to rid herself of her asleep status. Moving on to Dusknoir. god, I can't pronounce this name. Dusknoir. Dusknoir. Anyway, it evolved from Dusclops when traded holding a Reaper cloth. It shares the same typing and abilities as Dusclops, so we don't really need to go into that. However, let's take a quick look at its base stats. Its defenses aren't much higher than Dusclops, and admittedly it is outshined by Dusclops in the bulk department. However, it's not to say Dusclops can do everything Dusknoir can. Dusknoir, like many of the evolved counterparts of Evilite users, has a freedom to use whichever item it needs depending on what set you want to go for. Moreover, Dusknoir when it evolves is capable of hitting hard with a 100 base special attack stat, and as I mentioned earlier, gets access to the elemental punching moves for a decent overall coverage. However, its abysmal speed stat means the only way this guy can really do well is under Trick Room, but because it lacks the bulk, it cannot afford to waste a move slot on Trick Room unlike Dusclops. But if you can make it work, more power to you. Anyway, let's hop on Showdown to discuss some potential sets. What I was thinking was give it Brick Break. This one's pretty self-explanatory. It has a good amount of damage, it's able to hit normal type super effectively, as well as covering its dark weakness. Earthquake for the best coverage, Thunder or Ice Punch, and Shadow Claw for stab. What I was thinking was give this guy the adamant nature, max attack, and spread out the rest of the EVs in HP and its defenses if you really wanted to. I'd give it a life orb to inflict that extra bit of damage. Alternatively, if you wanted more of a defensive set, you can opt for the following: Trick Room to sort out its speed issue, Will-O-Wisp, Pain Split, and Nightshade. Opt for the Bolt nature, max out its HP and defense. Will-O-Wisp, like I said previously, is to harm physical attackers. Nightshade is just in case it gets taunted. And with this set, I'd give it leftovers for a bit of sustenance. Going back to an offensive set, I went up against someone who used a power up punch combo, get those attack boosts, and then Shadow Sneak for a good priority stab move. And again, you can opt for the other elemental punching moves for the best coverage, but the priority with Shadow Sneak can really make the difference without wasting a move slot on Trick Room. To be honest, I really struggled coming up with some viable Dusknoir sets, and with the two I've suggested, they are arguably not the best, so please by all means comment below if you have any better recommendations. Overall, looking at the two holistically, we can see Dusclops benefits better with the abilities it gets access to over Dusknoir, as in my opinion they are very defensive abilities to possess. I feel evolving Dusclops into Dusknoir would be a better decision if it gets access to a different ability like Moxie, making use of its offensive stats a little bit better. A little bit like how people argue Honchkrow is better than Murkrow competitively, as its abilities really complement its playstyle, but Dusknoir doesn't. On the other hand, Dusclops is really restricted in terms of what sort of defensive role it can play, and it doesn't have the versatility like Dusknoir does, who can play both offensively and defensively, so you can keep your opponent guessing. However, if it were up to me, I'd choose Evilite Dusclops any day of the week. Its defenses are far way superior, it really benefits with Evilite. The sacrifice in my opinion is totally worth it. Although it can't do everything Dusknoir can, it can really hold its own in battle, and that in itself is a good enough reason to run Evilite Dusclops. What about you guys? Which do you prefer, Dusclops or Dusknoir? Leave a comment below stating which one and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If this episode has whet your appetite for more similar videos, click on the icon on the top right hand corner, which will take you to the entire Evolution Solution series playlist. But I've also included the link to the playlist in the description for your convenience, so please enjoy. As always, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up as that will really help me out, as well as subscribing so you never miss a video from me. Follow me on all my social media platforms, but I'm Ozzymitsu. Until next time.